So let's move now to the talk of Francisco Silva. Thank you for accepting our invitation to be here today. Francisco Silva holds a PhD in Industrial and Systems Engineering, specializing in human engineering from the University of Minho. With a background in ceramic and glass engineering and postgraduate qualifications in human engineering and occupational safety in construction, Francisco Silva combines technical expertise with applied research. Francisco currently is a researcher at the Ceramics and Glass Technology Center, CTCB, a collaborating researcher at the Algorithmi Research Center at University of Minho, and assistant professor at Isla Gaia, Polytechnic Institute of Management and Technology. Francisco is also an active member of national and international technical committees on nanotechnologies, namely CEN, ISO, and IPQ. So welcome, please.
Thank you. I see that I'm getting old with this presentation. So I'm going to talk you about exposure to nanomaterials, particular incidental nanomaterials during industrial activities, mainly focused on the additive manufacturing. So first of all, what is a nanomaterial? And I use this one from the European Union. Just call the attention for the natural, incidental, and or manufactured. So we can have nanomaterials from all these sources. The size is important, size range, 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers, and also other are not interested for now. Using the ISO definition, you can define a nanomaterial, nano objects, and nanostructure materials. Nano object, usually with nanoparticle, but here it's to distinguish nanoparticles from nanofibers, for nanoplates, that you can have all these type of materials. When we talk about incidental, we are especially focused on nano objects other than nanostructured materials. Anyway, we can have this on a natural or incidental way. Natural nanomaterials, this is one example, the Sahara dust that several times each year appears in Portugal and in Europe. And this means that it's interesting because those type of particles can travel long distance. They arrive to Scandinavia, for instance. So when we have those type of materials loose in our facilities, those particles going to move through all our facility. Again, returning to the definitions, incidental nanomaterial, it's one byproduct. It's unintended producing against manufactured nanomaterial that we intend to produce that type of materials. And this for us have some difference or not, because I was talking with my niece a few days ago, and she told me that she was going to produce nanomaterials using lasers. So she was talking about engineered or manufactured nanomaterials. And when I talk to you a little bit later, I will talk about incidental nanomaterials produced by laser incidence in metal. So it's more or less all related, but it's not under so controlled conditions. Characteristics of particles influencing toxicity. These are some characteristics that we can, if you know, we can infer the toxicity of the nanoparticle. Question that we have here, if we have manufactured or engineered nanoparticles, we have controlled conditions, we have controlled characteristics of the particles, because we want to produce particles with those characteristics. When we talk about incidental, it's the way they came from the process. And this is slightly different to understand. Again, what I talk about the traveling, this is because the particles, smaller particles, the force of gravity is not so strong as other forces that push the particles up, like the Brownian motion or other. So the particles go for long distance. Another important thing to have about the particles and nanoparticles is their behavior in the respiratory system. And you can see that the nanoparticles are mainly the position is in the alveolar area, you know that. And it is also interesting that see that particles here around 200, 300 nanometers are the least deposit in the respiratory system. So if we can have particles in that side, they come in and go out more easily than other particles. Another question when we talk about this, and sometimes people forget, people talk about fine particles, ultrafine particles, and say, okay, these are the large particles like PM10. No, in PM10, we have all the other smaller particles included. And you'll see this later. It's important to think if we have particles, when we talk about larger, we can have at the same time the smaller ones mixed with them, even if they are not measuring that way. The nano are inside, the nano are inside the other all fractions. This is a way to classify. Going through some examples about particles in or nanoparticles, or ultrafine particles in the workplaces. This is in the glass industry, not it's more or less manual manufacturing of glass, not large scale manufacturing. And you can see that we have in all the places inside the company high quantities of particles in the air, airborne particles. Comparing with the air outside, it's going very, very high. This comes from burning processes inside the company. It's a traditional, not a high-tech company. This automotive repair. Here we have an interesting thing comparing with previous. In the environment outside the company, the amount of particles is higher because this is an industrial area. And for coincidence or not, I go to another company. They call me because they have problems from contamination coming from outside their company. So here again, inside doing automobile repair, welding, this is the large amount of particles, airborne particles, but also in the office where they do not perform any test, any operation with emission of particles, they have also particles in the air. This is another usual activity, a copy center. taking copies from a laser printer, and we can see again that we have a significant difference between the concentrate, the airborne particles concentration in the workplace near the machine, the printer, from then in the far field. So we have particles coming from the process. Now, in the additive manufacturing, metals, selective laser melting, these are measurements outside the machine. We have made measurements outside and inside. We have higher values. We have a background level, 6,000 particles per cubic centimeter. And during all the process, the different tasks, we have always higher values, 2 times more or less than the usual one. Okay, let's restart where we stop in the additive manufacturing of metals. So we have nanoparticles, and we can see here the increase below the 100 nanometers concentration of a particle, airborne particles in the air. And we can see here the particles collected in filters, and we can see aggregation or agglomeration. The shape of the particles is not very anisotropic. We have some sort of planes, but it's the real particles that are in the air coming from that process. This is from polymer, and you can see here this is interesting. You can see the number concentration. Most of the particles are ultrafine, and then a little amount of larger particles. But when you see that on mass concentration, the main is PM1 in mass. So that's why it's important when we are looking for nanoparticles, ultrafine particles, to check in number, not in mass. Another example, this is polymer and filter with filler. And we see that PLA and cork is the higher amount of particles in the air. Compare with the others. And here we can see that ABS is the one that have more emission of particles compared with the other polymers. One important question in this is many companies have large number of chimneys extracting air from inside their facilities. And if the air comes out, must come in any way. So we're gonna in by windows, doors, and openings that we have. And we do not control the air from outside. We saw that in the previous examples, we have different concentrations of airborne particles in the outside air. So this is an example. Here is in the workstation that we are checking, 40,000, around 40,000 particles per cubic centimeter of air. In an intermediate area, let's say between the door, the entry of the air, and the workstation, passing through other workplaces, 38, a little bit lower only. In the outside there, 1,500 more or less particles per cubic centimeter. And in this company, they are recircle the air that they capture from the workstation with the local exhaust ventilation. And in that air, we have 35. We have almost 0 particles. So the air that we are recirculating, it's have less particles than the air that comes from outside. We found some problems concerning carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. We must take care of that, but considering only particles, we should consider to recircle the air that we filter with, okay, HEPA or other type of filters that are efficient. So, uncontrolled characteristics of the incidental particles against engineered nanoparticles. We have that problem when we deal with incidental nanoparticles. The emission variation, we see that from the different phases of the production, we have different values. The nearby workstations, we have cross-contamination, so we must take care of that, and also the environmental particles, being natural or from the road traffic or surrounding industries. So those particles are mixed with the ones that we are producing in our own company. So we must take care of that. And looking for this, I like this graphic. We can see if we have uncertainty on the consequences, and the colleague that was talking previous to me was checking on toxicity of the particles. If we have not good knowledge, and also about the likelihood, we are towards ignorance. So we must invest knowing which consequences we have, the exposures, and so on, to have safer workplaces with these new materials, these different materials, advanced materials, being manufactured or incidental. So this is what we must do. We must manage the risks. This is the approach for engineered nanomaterials, but with slight difference. We can use this also for incidental nanomaterials. The equipments, and here we can see 2 good examples. This is for metals, on the left hand. It's enclosed. It's inside the machine, we have larger amount of particles, a huge emission, and outside we have lower values. The better the enclosure, the better the air outside. This is for ceramics in the left, in the right hand. And what is the difference? It's not so closed, but use not powder. It use a liquid or plastic or ceramic body. So no emission because it's a wet process. Again, in all these cases, there are other operations like cleaning, like finishing, and in those operations we could have the particle, the airborne particles, the emission of particles. So safety by design is important. We have already talked about materials, and it's important to have this. In the incidental, okay, we have not so much control, but so also safe by design in processing. So look for safer process with lower emissions, because in this you can see the consequences of the hazard came from the exposure. But exposure follows emission. And if we have no emission, we have no exposure. So acting on the processes, on the activities, on materials, we can reduce the hazard, we can reduce the emissions, so consequently we'll reduce the exposure. If all this fails, personal protective equipment at least is the last resource for that. So, and thank you, and that we do not use again asbestos to have fake snow in movies. So, thank you.